This is the Uptick Network Stock Day Podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com. Penny stock news and interviews from the microcap world. Public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world. With your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, we have a returning guest. I think he's one of the premier CEOs in biotech companies. His name is William Hartman. He is the CEO of Premier Biomedical, Inc. They trade on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol BIEI. William, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Everett. Always a pleasure. I enjoy getting the message out via your medium.
You know, I know you've been working hard underneath the scenes and behind the scenes and everything, but you most recently put out a press release cited a signing of a long sought after agreement to form a joint venture company named Premier Biomedical Pain Management Solutions. Can you explain the path, how you guys got there, and what is this going to do for the parent company?
Thank you, Everett. It's a little bit of an involved story, but like most stories, you can't just answer this with a very quick answer. It basically involves reviewing some of the history. How we got here was we formed Premier Biomedical in mid-2010, and we had two patents on a process of immunotherapy, and how we differed from everyone else in the immunotherapy area.
Absolutely.
Was that we operated outside the body. There would never be a 1-800 bad drug associated with Premier Biomedical. We basically worked on body fluids, blood for blood-borne diseases, and cerebrospinal fluid for neurologic-based illnesses. We had a second division of the company, basically pain management, and we had a patent on a combination of synthetic drugs currently on the market, but in combination made them unique. And we always intended to use that as a cash cow to get into the market most quickly with this pain management material, and basically fund the R&D of our immunotherapy. Now, in the immunotherapy area, let's call that area A, we decided we needed partners, and we partnered with the Department of Defense, with the Center of Expertise at the William Beaumont Army Medical Center at Fort Bliss. We signed an agreement with them where we'd work together in a cooperative research and development agreement. We also partnered with the University of Texas at El Paso, because that Fort Bliss is in El Paso, and it just made sense for us to concentrate everything in the El Paso arena. That's where we're incorporated. In that arena, we basically decided that we were going to work most prominently on cancer, on atherosclerosis, basically heart attack and stroke, also on Alzheimer's disease and traumatic brain injury, particularly manifested by post-traumatic stress disorder. We had some very, very promising results in some of these areas, most notably in cancer, and that work is continuing to this day. In our second arena, we had, obviously in Division B, we had our pain management solutions, and we sought to have that approved by the FDA. Now, the FDA, we did everything we could to shorten the required testing time and investment required, but we got some bad news. Basically, the FDA said that, yes, these synthetic drugs existed singly and were approved by the FDA, but in combination, they'd never been tested adequately to their evaluation. And they required basically about $10 million worth of testing and 1 to 2 years worth of testing, and that for a small company is a lot to absorb.
Yeah, it's not feasible for you guys.
Yeah, so basically what we decided to do was we did some research, and we found out that there was an international treaty International Council for Harmonization, Treaty Number 6 in the United States, and most of the world was a signatory to that treaty, that if it was approved in one of the countries, it would be approved in all of the countries automatically. So we thought, what a great deal that was. We sought where we should proceed to have these tests conducted and certified this drug, and we settled on Brazil, and in that instance, we found out that we could do the test for about $3 million, but again, it was going to take 1 to 2 years. So we sought a partnership in Brazil. Basically, we had some initial interest, but as soon as the investment and the time required, it basically slowed down the enthusiasm of some of the potential partners. And of course, we broadcast letters of intent by press release to the world and the market and so forth, and that was a disappointment for us. So basically and fundamentally, after that, we said, look, we had to come up with a new formulation of pain medication, one where we didn't use so many synthetic drugs or any at all. We'd use natural ingredients. So we searched and searched, and really time was on our side. Cannabis became a very, very, very hot item in the market. So what we did was we sought potential combination of cannabis drugs, and said let's attempt to come up with the best ingredient in the world. And we did a lot of research, and basically we had a new chief technical officer, Dr. James Franke, and he put us in touch with some people that he'd worked with in the California area, San Diego area, and that was Ron Laborde. And Ron Laborde was the managing director of his own company, and called Advanced Technology Solutions. And we began discussions with them, signed a letter of intent, and now we've signed the full agreement. And basically and fundamentally, what our intent is to use a CBD based, which is a cannabis based ingredient in pain medications. And the pain medications include a pain patch. And by the way, we have Mr. Laborde has a patent pending on a design for a reservoir pain patch, which increases the efficacy from 8 to 12 hours, which is you see in the market with 1 or 2 competitors. Ours is up to 4 days. We have 4 days of effectiveness of our pain patch, and we're also looking at roll-ons. We're looking at creams and sprays.
And let me ask you this, Bill: when do you think that these products will actually come out to the marketplace, and that Premier Biomedical will start generating revenues?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because we intend to have samples available beginning next week to select audiences. Now, our new Dr. Franke, by the way, unexpectedly passed away here recently, and we appointed Dr. Patricio Reyes as our Chief Technical Officer. And Dr. Reyes is the Chief Medical Officer for the NFL Retired Players Association. He's also very influential and on the various boards of the National Hockey League, the NBA, also Boxing Commission, and
right.
He's very, very active in the Veterans Administration. So we're going to have samples available for Dr. Reyes to use in this select audience of major sports organizations, also the VA, beginning next week. And we're very excited about that. I might add a personal recommendation, by the way, as well. I've had neuropathy for 10 years in my feet, and when I used one of his patches, the neuropathy went away. I felt like I was 10 years old. Just absolutely unbelievable in terms of its effectiveness. Now, this involves CBD, which is a 50-state legal drug.
Right.
Because of the supplier we have, which is offshore. Interestingly enough, the government requires that CBD be grown from hemp, and the hemp has to be grown outside the country. Now, this is changing. Today, there are 25 states have legalized medical marijuana, and the number of states is increasing drastically and very fast. We don't intend to get into THC, which is psychoactive.
Right.
We're going to stick initially with CBD, which is non-psychoactive and is completely legal in 50 states if the sources are correct.
Has the non-THC in it.
Yeah. Now our intent is to have this drug on the market in the first quarter of 2017. We've already taken steps to do online purchasing and have that available. We've reserved 6 domain names related to the product, and I won't reveal those at this time because it's a little preliminary until we complete our analysis. I don't want people coming in and trying to steal our and hold us ransom for domain names. So we're very excited about this.
My guest today is William Hartman. He is the CEO of BIEI, Premier Biomedical. BIEI is their stock symbol. In closing here, is there anything that you and I didn't get a chance to talk about that you would like to get out to my listeners?
Well, our intent is to use this pain medication. By the way, this pain medication market, and your investor listeners ought to really understand this. Worldwide, this is a $40 billion market. $40 billion. And we intend to, we're in fact going to be one of the pioneers. We're going to be one of the most prevalent companies in this market. In fact, we expect to be dominant in this market. We see this market expanding geometrically. And we're going to use this to develop our very promising anti-cancer drug, which in preliminary tests at the University of Texas at El Paso, where we significantly outperformed some of the major anti-cancer drugs that are already on the market.
Right.
We're completing those tests, but again, then we enter into clinical trials, et cetera. So it's going to be a little longer for that to hit the market. But this is, again, a multi-billion-dollar drug, we believe. So Premier Biomedical, we're still at a penny. I mean, people could get rich by buying our stock. We believe that very shortly it's going to accelerate very substantially. People, earlier, Everett, I've been on your show and I quoted that we were going to significantly increase our stock price, and some people have said it hasn't happened yet. Don't worry, it's going to happen very shortly. Look for this to happen on or about the first quarter of 2017. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show, Everett. As always, respect the work you're doing, and I'm always willing to come on and tell your listeners
Absolutely.
the great results that we're achieving and the promising future we have at Premier Biomedical.
William Hartman's been our guest today. He is the CEO of Premier Biomedical, Inc. They trade on the OTCQB, ticker symbol BIEI. Their market cap is just a little bit north of $800,000. I think that's very, very undervalued. And like Bill said, their stock's trading around a penny. Bill, I wish you nothing but the best. We're going to check back with you in a month or two to see how things are going. Thanks again for stopping by and coming on the show today.
Thank you again, Everett. Look forward to it.